Hi everyone and welcome to our webinar. Today we will explore Txakoli from the Basque country. I am David Martin and I am based at our WSET head office in London. My main role here is to support our approved program provider network in the EMEA region, in particular Spain, Portugal and the UK. As many of you probably know, the Wine and Spirit Education Trust is the world's leading provider of qualifications in wines, spirits, sake, and beer. The WSET has over 50 years of experience in designing and delivering education to help professionals and consumer enthusiasts to learn more about these products. You can take WSET qualifications in over 70 countries through our network of more than 800 course providers. If you're interested in finding out more about embarking on a WSET journey, visit wsetglobal.com. I would like to remind you that this webinar will be recorded and available to watch via the WSET Global Events Hub on YouTube. And please feel free to post your questions in the Q&A box, and we will try to cover as many as possible at the end of the session. Our Txakoli expert today is Teresa Guilarte. Teresa is a WSET certified educator, a sommelier, and an official trainer of Rioja, Marco de Jerez, and Cava wines. She teaches at the Escuela Superior de Hostelería de Bilbao, and among other projects, has developed the training contents of Bizkaia Txakoli Training School or Bizkaiko Txakolina Skola. Teresa is currently in charge of content management and the design and development of training courses at Arte Wine, combining this with consultancy for companies and the delivery of seminars, technical tastings, masterclasses, and customized training courses. Arte Wines are a WSET approved program provider, and Teresa is the lead educator for all the WSET wine qualifications. It is my pleasure to introduce you to Teresa Guilarte. Teresa, welcome and thank you for joining us today.
Hello, thank you very much for your introduction, David. It's a pleasure to spend this time, this short webinar about Txakoli, sharing with all of you. Thank you for all the ones that are connected and are interested in discover a little bit more about this wonderful wine. And it's a pleasure to collaborate with this WSET activities to promote and to discover new varieties, new regions like this one. Okay, let's go for a bit of what we are what I'm proposing you to talk today. Okay, I would like to do first a brief history of Txakoli and a glimpse of the wines today, because when we are saying that the Txakoli are special wines, are singular wines, has somehow a lot to do with the history and has also a lot to do with the future, with the moment they are living now. I will explain which is the uniqueness of these wines related to the climate, soils, and grape variety, which are singular and are different from many others regions in Europe, even in Spain, and I would say in the world. Then I would like to explain you which are the main styles, which would you find in a glass of wine with Txakoli when you ask for it in a bar, or when you are traveling, if you have the opportunity to travel here to the Basque country, or if you have the chance to get a bottle of Txakoli, which kind of wine you will meet in the glass. And finally, a bit resume of the Txakoli now in the world, the markets, consumers, and what some ideas and tips about the future. So where we are in Europe, of course, and we are in the northern part of Spain. The Basque Country region is a limit, the natural limit with the sea, with the Cantabric Sea in the Atlantic Ocean. And the Txakoli production area, it's occupied by a strip of land very close to the sea, but also a bit inland at the middle of the region of the Basque Country. we will see a little bit more the details of the land. What about the history? Where Txakoli is considered the traditional wine from the Basque Country. Mostly all of it, but it's important, not all of the Txakoli wine is white. Even more than 95% it is, about 96% are made with white grapes and white wines, but also exist, and I will explain you later a little bit more, some very interesting and special red and rosé wines. Viticulture has been present in the Basque Country, in the north of all the Cantabric coast, since centuries ago. One of the main influences bringing new varieties and explaining and extending, let's say, these varieties and these local wines to the rest of the world, to the rest of the Europe somehow, was especially tied to the St. James Way since the 10th century until nowadays. Still, there are some of the northern way of St. James passed through the Txakoli region here in the Basque Country. The first written records were the first document where the word Txakoli in the old Spanish terminology, Txakolín, was appearing in documents in the Middle Ages. It was curious because it was for a reclamation, a trial that the woman from Renteria village, very close to San Sebastián, very close to the border with France, in the area of Guipúzcoa, was claiming for some barrels of Txakoli that were consumed by the troops that were fighting against the French troops, and some of the soldiers came to the caserío where this woman produced Txakoli and drank the Txakoli without paying it. So this reclamation was recorded in a Valladolid bibliothèque, and now it can be found there. But also in the Middle Ages, we are 16th century, 17th century, there was an organized guild of wine pruners, for example, and they exist what they call the work of podavines, which mean vine pruners. So this is also registered in the documents as a symbol, as a sign of the oldest practicing of wine production and wine grower works. By 18th century, the production estimated was not so far as the production that we have now, about 4 to 5 million liters annually in Vizcaya. There were some taxes registers and import-exports from the villages, from the main villages that are calculated with this quantity, which is quite a lot for that time. An interesting thing, there were not only whites or almost only whites as today, but there was also many other varieties and red ones that changed after phylloxera crisis as in other regions. So in 18th, 19th century, there were some decades with a good economic development in the industry and a growth of the economy in the area of the Basque Country. This was very interesting, very positive, but it has a negative impact in the growth of the vineyards, because many people working in countryside, working in the vineyards, abandoned the land and went to the city to look for a better life, better conditions, more work, and so on. So this was at the beginning a change in the big production that we had 1 century ago, and from 19 and then we will see 20th century as well, the Txakoli vineyards and the Txakoli productions life a sort of big crisis, let's say. Okay. On top of that, there was the competition of other interesting regions as Rioja, for example, or Madiran, or Bordeaux, quite close from the border, that they do a lot of competence to the production of Txakoli. So there was not many people working on that. The wine and the production, it was difficult. There was not a lot of technology, and step by step, it was suffering a reduction of the production. But was very positive in another way, because the origin of the Caserío Txakolines was created more or less at that time. The Caserío Txakolines was, as you can see in this picture, this was like farmhouses where the people in the land in the countryside lived, but they opened it to the public certain days, the Sundays or the days when there was a party or there was a family event. It was open to the public, so people from the cities or people from other villages could go to these caseríos, and they had food and they had Txakoli. So it was like a very cultural way and very popular manner to maintain the production and the consumption of Txakoli, even in those difficult times, let's say. Okay. Then we arrive to the wars period for these wines. 19th century, 20th century, the big plagues, oidium, mildium, then phylloxera, and then specifically in our context, we suffered the Civil War and a few years afterwards of post-war period. This was very difficult for the life in the countryside. At the same time, the tendency of people for going to the cities for the industrial and urban development also keep abandon the vineyards. Okay, so about in the 60s, 50s in Spain, here in this area, the Txakoli vineyards were almost extinguished. There was just 2-3 very small vineyards in the area of Guipúzcoa, a little bit in the area of Vizcaya mainly, that there were a few families keeping the production and keeping the plantings of the local varieties. But thanks to that caseríos, the viticulture and the concept of what we know as Txakoli was preserved. The things started to change in the 80s. Fortunately, there were a group of producers that were very conscious of the value of this wine, that they were convinced that it was possible to develop a very nice quality good wine, and they start to organize a little bit among themselves. And afterwards, they count with the support of the administration. Also, when Spain joins the European Union in 1986, it was also like a moment when the European law start also to be in place for the protection of vineyards, for the support and improvement, for investment and new technologies. Txakoli today, so we are here after 15 years of this new area, let's say, this new moment. And today, the production for the full vineyards in the Basque Country are about 5.5 million liters per year. This is an average. I will let you know now the specific climate conditions would make it quite difficult, quite challenging to cultivate and to produce Txakoli. So it's not always the same quantity, but we are about that amount. And as I mentioned, 96% is white wine from the main grape, which is Hondarrabi Zuri. Zuri in the Basque language means white. So Hondarrabi Zuri is the white variety of Hondarrabi. It is thought that the name came linked with the city of Hondarribia, which is exactly in the border, is in the coast. It's a village very close to the sea, and it's exactly in the border among Spain and France. And it is thought that there was the route that, since the St. James Way moment, the variety traveled from France to Spain, from Spain to France. As I mentioned, there is also small production of red and rosé Txakoli, and also some sparkling and sweet and special wines. The whole region only have, there is not even 1,000 hectares. Actually, among the 3 designations of origin, we have 3 appellations of origin in the Basque Country for Txakoli, Vizcaya, Getaria, and Araba, and they have altogether almost 1,000 hectares. The number of growers, as you can see, 289 officially registered actually, which are a sign of how much divided are the production of Txakoli, and most of those hectares are small plots, maybe less than an hectare, 2 hectares, 3 hectares, but they are really very small pieces of land to produce Txakoli. And officially now there are 77 official wineries producing and selling Txakoli in our region. The 3 designations of origin has different stories. They share many things. The same global style of wine, the same, almost the same varieties, especially the Hondarrabi Zuri, which is the queen of the Txakoli, but has some slightly differences I will mention to you. I will now mention them to you. Guetaria Txakolina, or Txakoli de Guetaria, as it's the official Spanish Basque name, was born in 1989. It was the first of the 3, and they originally were only included Guetaria as a municipality and 2-3 municipalities very close to Guetaria, very close to the sea. After a few years, the other rest of Gipuzkoa was included, and actually this designation of origin includes all the Txakoli produced in the region, in the province of Gipuzkoa. They are very well known for the classical fizzy and aged white wine, which is really a little bit fizzy, little bit with, you can notice the carbonic, which made it very fresh, very easy to drink, very nice wine to share with food or to drinks only by itself. Also had another types of wines, then I will go more in detail. Bizkaiko Txakolina is the second designation of origin. You can see each of the different labels of the three designations, and this was officially established in 1994. From the very beginning, it includes all Vizcaya, because in Vizcaya there are many vineyards very close to the sea, but also some inland vineyards like in Las Encartaciones and Achondo and other valleys. They have the classical still and aged white, but also special wines, aged wines especially, and here we can find some quite modern and new wineries trying to develop new styles of very interesting wines. There are some rosé, and of course there are red wines and some sparkling too. And Arabako Txakolina is the youngest one. It was formally established in 2001, and in this case, it includes only, let's say, only some valleys in the comarca of Ayala, which is the northern area of the province of Álava. Álava is a land of wine. Many of you can sound about Rioja Alavesa wines, part of the Rioja wines, and all the Rioja Alavesa wines are in the south of Álava. Okay, so in the same region, the northern part is dedicated to Txakoli because the south is dedicated to Rioja wines with red wines and other styles. So what does Txakoli special wine, different wine? Well, one of the singularities is the climate. As you can see in the map, as you saw, the influence it's very maritime, moderate maritime. The latitude of this region is quite medium, so there is enough rain, there is enough temperature range, but we don't have extreme events. We don't have very cold winters or very hot summers. Despite the last years and due to climate change, as it's happening in other areas, there are some irregularities on that, but are quite mild weather with high humidity. This is an important characteristic for the wine growing of Hondarrabi Zuri, and also low sunlight, which sometimes make very challenging to get good ripe grape process. Okay, so this is very critical, and because of this, the work in the vineyard is so important to get a good ripening, and the wine growers are taking care in different phases of the growing season to get the best ripening process to collect the grapes. Always, not absolutely all of the hectares are hand harvested, but I would say that maybe 80 or 90% of all the vineyards are hand harvested. Traditionally, vines were planted on emparrado system, no, with these trellises, but today modern vineyards use vertical shoot position systems that makes much easier the work with it and the enough aeration of the grapes to avoid the problems of the humidity. Okay, sometimes excessive rain, hail, and frost are the key weather hazards we have. Okay. Another singularity is, as you can see in these beautiful pictures from our vineyards, are the geography. The Basque country has a lot of very high mountains, but there are mountains all around. So the topography is quite irregular. We have multiple valleys, slopes, rivers, varying elevations, and also a quite good mixture of soils. Okay, soils are composed originally geologically by marine fossils, but then we have calcareous marls, sandstones, some limestone bedrock, and combine of textures and slightly alkaline pH. Some studies that has been done in different vineyards has discovered that the alkaline pH is not everywhere, but it's quite common. And then traditional practices that include vineyard selection, minimal intervention, and some ecological and biodynamic treatment when this is possible. The grape, our queen, as I will say, Hondarrabi Zuri, is very ancient grape variety. It's paired with Corbeau Blanc or Crouchen in southern France. And here is almost unique in the Iberic Peninsula. It's almost unique in the Basque Country. It's a small variety. You can see a picture there. Has a small bunch and small berries as well. The color is pale and it has a very interesting characteristic, which is the high acidity. Medium alcohol, but a good high acidity that make possible to give a potential for quality and aged wines. Okay. Other grape varieties, local varieties, we have the black version of Hondarrabi. We have Hondarrabi Zuri Serratier, which is also very familiar with Hondarrabi Zuri, but is even smaller, as you can see in the photo. The smaller bunch is Hondarrabi Zuri Serratier, even more concentrated, and Hondarrabi Beltza. Beltza means black in Basque. So this means is the black grape for the production of Txakoli. And then there are another ones allowed in the vineyards, but always less than 20%. No, any vineyard can have more than 20% of all these varieties, because the 80% should be at least by law, by designation origin rules made for Txakoli. Main wine styles, we have, as we said, the traditional style is this style that comes from the very past. Is light, fresh, this slightly fizzy style in Guipúzcoa specifically, and most of the wine is white, a bit of rosé for early consumption. No aged wine, and it's approachable wines to share with some food or just by itself. Then we have what we call the modern styles. There is a now tendency now to produce, thanks to those acidity and low alcohol profile, to produce more gastronomic and structured wine. Many wineries now are aging on lees or in barrels, creating Txakolis with a lot of much complexity and elegance and gastronomic pairings as such. And then there is also some new styles or special wines, what you said. We include the red wines, some sparkling by method traditionnel or even by a pet nat style. But also there are wineries doing natural wine, orange wines, special aging, for example, in concrete eggs, and single vineyard wines then also. There are some wineries working on a cru style of Txakoli, We don't use the word cru because this is not included as word, but yes as a concept. No? Wines that reflect the soil, that reflect the terroir, and reflect the uniqueness of the country. Wine pairing, well, gastronomic connection. These wines are cultural and gastronomic connection. It's very usual to enjoy these wines with the pinchos, which is the classic aperitif in the Basque Country. If any of you have been traveling or visiting Basque Country, and if you didn't, please do it if you want, if you can. You can enjoy in almost any bar, any restaurant of this country, the pinchos, no? Olive, Hilda, sausage, jam, classic omelette, sandwiches with a glass of these beautiful wines. But then for eat a full lunch with these wines, also is it possible, no? Fish, salmon, sardines, fresh meat, pasta. It fits very well, specifically, for example, with Asian food and Japanese food, because this is spicy and the sauces links very well, pairs very well with the acidity and with the softness of these wines. And I have to say, in the Basque Country, I think is the higher concentration of restaurants with stars Michelin, with Michelin stars. All of them in the wine list includes Txakolís, and more than one, for sure. So if you have also the opportunity to visit one of these wonderful top restaurants, for sure you have the opportunity to taste our Txakolís. So where we are, approximately 20%, it depends on the areas and the subregions, but approximately 20% of the Txakoli wine is exported to other countries. Most of it is consumed locally, and also in the big cities of Spain, in Madrid, in Barcelona, you can find it. But 20% export mainly to USA, France, Japan, or England. Enoturism, it's also a line of work quite interesting in the wineries. Most of the wineries, as I say, are family, mid-sized with young winemakers. They're open to tell their stories, to open the vineyards, to open a glass of wine for you, and to make you live exactly how is making wine and enjoying wine in our land. And then this important connection with the culture and the everyday life, no? For a party, for local fetes, for celebrations, for institutional events, for sportive events, you always have Txakoli near these situations. So for finishing, the things I wanted to explain you today about Txakoli of the future, no? It has a long tradition, with more happy and more suffering times, but today is very present in everyday life. We can consider that the wine is mostly wine of high quality and a lot of diversity, from the easy consumption or more early consumption young wines to very much sophisticated, complex aged wines, and you can find really very beautiful wines with 8 years old, with a specific freshness, mouth, and a lot of complexity notes. Another interesting thing I consider of these wines is that most of the ones doing and selling and betting for this wine are young producers, family business, and always thinking on the sustainability production of it. Because it is important to maintain the value and the treasure that we have, people is very concerned about taking care of the climate, taking care of the land, not using as much or the less possible use of chemics or other treatments that can put in danger our treasure. Okay, so now I'm finishing now. I leave here some links for dive with more information. I think Joanna will put it also in the chat, so it can be available for any of you that want to know more things, more details, more data about Txakoli. Thank you very much, and I will love to hear if you have questions or comments about what we say.
Thank you very much, Teresa. That was very, very interesting. Thank you for the presentation. We have a lot of questions. We are running out of time, unfortunately, so I will have to select just a couple of them. But I saw that there is a few people interested in a bit more information about what is the effect that the alkaline soil have in the wine and the winery. Can you give us some more information about that, please, Teresa?
Well, the alkaline soil has more to do that there is a lot of or specific adaptation of the roots to these soils. Usually, you know, after phylloxera, all the vines are grafted. So there are specific roots that are patrons that are used for compensate this alkaline pH. Okay. Also, the lack of nutrients. There are differences, but also the nutrients in the soil are quite poor. So sometimes extra nutrition is required when there are some alerts of the alkaline soil can damage the leaves or can generate an unbalance of the vine. No, it is one of the specific things that in the vineyard are treated. When the grapes arrive to the winery, I wouldn't say that this has a direct effect of the alkaline soil in the type of wine. It's more the acidity and more the aromatic profile of the grape, which is quite singular, which makes the wine so fresh and so good balance with acidity.
Okay, fantastic. Thank you very much. Another question. Matt is asking, is production of rosé and red wines growing within the region?
Yeah. It's very, very small because I'd say it's almost 3-4% of all vineyards with black grapes. So the production it's very small. But even if this teeny production is in proportion is growing quite a lot. The Hondarrabi Belcha specifically and the production of red wine is it's considered quite challenging and interesting for many modern wineries, and some of them do investment for planting red varieties, the Hondarrabi Belcha, and producing a bit more. Always has been done rosé, and there was, for example, wineries that only with the small part of black grapes did all rosé wine. Now they are reserving always a part for red wine and then a bit of rosé as well, mixed of red and white grapes.
Fantastic. And just, I'm afraid it's the last one very quickly because we need to finish. Do you have an estimation of what is the percentage of all Txakoli that are made in the traditional style versus a much more modern or specialty style?
Yeah, good question. This is also growing. I would say that probably 80% of the volume are classic unaged wine as a whole, in the free designation of origin. And it's growing more in Vizcaya than in the other two regions, but I would say that maybe 15, 20, even 20 and 22, 23% the last years are growing these special wines, because the investment for more ageable and complex wines is a very clear strategy for the region and for the producers.
That's fantastic. Thank you very much, Teresa. Unfortunately, we cannot answer any more questions. We are running out of time. So thank you very much, everybody, for watching. Please complete the feedback poll, which is just come out on your screen, if you have a second. And well, this recording will be emailed to everyone, as well as being available to watch on the WSET Events Hub on YouTube. So you can catch up with this event, and you can catch up with many other previous events we have. And just to say goodbye, to find out more and sign up to our courses, please visit where to study page at the WSETglobal.com. Teresa, thank you very much for your time. Everybody, thank you very much for attending today.
Thanks.
Bye-bye.
See you.
Bye.